In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Brian Fry, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbardis, Lizzie Haynes, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
Welcome all you lords, ladies, and knights to the Retro Movie Roundtable. Welcome to the show where we watch movies and then talk about them. I'm your host, Russell Guest, from the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and joining me tonight is my good friend and co-host from deep in the heart of Texas, Mr. Dustin Melbardis. How you doing, sir?
Good evening, Russ. I am trying to wind down. Summer is coming to a close. It's time to kind of exhale a little bit.
And from down south where it's hot to way up north, give a holla to Walhalla, North Dakota, Miss Rebecca Davis. How are you doing, Rebecca?
I'm great. How are you?
Good to have you back. We are excited to do this again. And let's break the ice here. Who is your favorite movie detective, Rebecca?
I'm going to say Inspector Gadget. There's just so much nostalgia from the 90s, especially like the animated cartoon. That's the one that rings true. And I guess you could say the Mystery Squad from Scooby-Doo, but I'm going to go with Inspector Gadget.
I like it. And that the Matthew Broderick Inspector Gadget was shot here in Pittsburgh, where I am. Dr. Claw kind of creeped me out as a kid because you couldn't see his face. And I remember thinking, like, Miss Nanny from the Muppet Babies, you can never see her face.
That's true.
You know, Charlie Brown's teachers, you couldn't see. None of these things really. I was at ease not seeing their faces, but not seeing Dr. Claw's face gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. So, yeah. Dustin, how about you? Who's your favorite movie detective?
I'll give you my runner-ups first. Saito Hajime from Rurouni Kenshin, John Hartigan from Sin City, but my winner is Javert from Les Miserables. And I think you know that I don't hold the movie adaptation in that high regard, but the character is so much greater than Russell Crowe's portrayal that it is my favorite detective in all media.
You don't like grumpy mumble singing?
There's very little that I would say, oh yeah, I like that about that movie. But the story's great.
We're going to end up covering it someday. My favorite movie detective, swinging around to me, actually was recently redone. I had a couple that I kind of liked here, but Fletch was one of these movies that I was like coming back to. But recently, I have fallen in love with Inspector Clouseau from the Pink Panther movies when we covered the Pink Panther, Dustin. So
yeah,
Peter Sellers, as I would like to see more of these movies. So if anybody wants to do a shot in the dark with us, email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. Let's make that happen because I was taken aback by how funny Pink Panther was when we watched it. I didn't know what I was getting in for. All right. What was the last movie you saw, Rebecca?
Last movie I saw all the way through was probably Naked Gun. I've started Moana 2 being the most recent.
I just happened to see in 2015, we kind of recap our 2015 movies. So throughout the year, I like to go pick up these 2015 movies I missed. Spotlight was one that I just didn't want to get to. Given the content, I didn't really want to dive right into that one, but it is a really good movie. It deserves the attention and the accolades that it got. It is totally worth seeing. Uncovering corruption in the Catholic Church was a heavy topic I didn't really want to get around to seeing, so it took me 10 years. So, but I finally got to it, and it is good. Keaton, Ruffalo, McAdams, good cast, good movie. It's not a light affair, but just sometimes these movies are important. They have important things to say, even when it's not easy. Dustin.
Spotlight will certainly find a way onto our top 10 of 2015, at least in our honorable mentions. Like it has to. I was in a comedy mood from the 80s, and for the first time all the way through, I watched Trading Places with Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Yeah. I had only seen parts. I had only seen clips, never seen it all the way through. And there's a lot more going on than I had thought. It's so fun. It's so well done. It was a good time. I recommend it.
I only hope we can cover that one someday. That would be great. All right. Speaking of things that we're covering, Dustin, what movie are we covering today?
From 1988, The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Thank you for that colon there. We're about to have a new Naked Gun movie without that long
That's right.
long appendage afterwards, but we got the whole thing in there. This movie stars Leslie Nielsen, Priscilla Presley, Elvis's wife, Ricardo Montalban, Khan himself, George Kennedy, and the Juice, O.J. Simpson.
The Juice.
Yeah. Released in 1988, budgeted for $12 million. It grosses $78.7 million domestically. I love how successful this movie is. It places at number 8 on the box office, coming in behind Die Hard and just ahead of Cocktail. So, again, like you said, Dustin, 80s comedies knocking it out of the park. People showing up to the box office, paying big dollars, wanting to see these movies, making them laugh.
Yeah.
Number one, that movie that year did not make people laugh, but it is Rain Man. We have not covered Rain Man, but just worth noting, we did cover our number 2 movie that year was Roger Rabbit, and number 3 movie Coming to America, and number 4 Big. So slowly but surely, 1988 is like this year that we're starting to hit a lot of the big ones at the tippy top here. So IMDb gives The Naked Gun a 7.6. Critics of Rotten Tomatoes like it even better. 86% fresh. I was pleased to see how much the critics like this when the audience score is just a little behind it at 84%. So right about there. The American Comedy Awards nominated this one for the funniest actor in a motion picture to Leslie Nielsen. And the Jupiter Awards nominated it for Best International Film. And the AFI did not make the top 100 movies for top 100 laughs, I should say, in 2000, but it was one of the 400 movies that were nominated and considered to be in it. So let's get into this one. Rebecca, had you seen The Naked Gun before? If so, what was your background with it?
This was completely fresh for me. Going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew it was one of those kind of like slapstick, stupid comedy movies. And those are ones that I have to be in the right mood for. Based on the history and the reviews I had read, I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. And then some of the movies that are what I like to call stupid funny.
Oh, yeah.
I have to be in the mood for to be able to actually sit down and enjoy them. For example, Robin Hood Men in Tights. I only enjoy that movie if I've had a few beverages. Like sitting down stone cold sober, I cannot sit there and watch that. If I've had a few beverages, it's the funniest movie ever to me.
Okay. There's a popular online movie critic named Jeremy Johns, and one of his rating scales is good time, no alcohol required, or good time, but it's better if you drink. And then like it always comes up like a sloppy, like, now it's a party. So, Dustin, how about you? Had you seen The Naked Gun before?
We hadn't brought it up yet, but this was my dealer's choice for this week. Is I knew that it'd be the three of us, and this was sort of a gift to you, Russ. Is I gave you a short list of 3 comedies: The Mask, The Jerk, or The Naked Gun. All of them very good for the time. All of them older than 2000. All of them have this kind of special place in my history. I have seen The Naked Gun before, and I knew that I've never selected a comedy for my dealer's choice ever. So I decided to hey, let's do a comedy together. And it's one of those that I had seen on TV a whole bunch. As you know, with TV movies, that means that whether you've actually seen the beginning or actually seen the end kind of is lost to time. But I had seen this and snippets of the sequels as well. I think 33 and a Third was the first one I ever watched. And I have never seen Police Squad. So this is something where I haven't revisited this movie since I've been on the show. And I knew exactly what I was getting into. I knew that the Leslie Nielsen portrayal of this character has influenced how I am and how I act. His delivery of lines and the very particular kind of the way that Rebecca just described, like slapstick stupid, is I live most of my life kind of a professional and buttoned up serious way. So when you can insert a little silly into the rest of your life, I think this is just such a great execution. So it had been a part of my life for a long time. I've always liked it. I don't think I've always said like, oh, this is a favorite movie. It isn't. It doesn't crack like my top 10, but it's fun and it's got its own thing. And anything like this will be referred to as a Naked Gun style movie, not the other way around. Is it Naked Gun? It kind of has its own style, and the idea that it's pervaded so long, and that we're of the year that we're going to get a remake essentially. That's why I chose it. So yes, it's been part of my life, and I'm glad we could visit it.
With you saying that it was one of the ones that you had seen on TV, and
Yeah.
you never know if you've actually seen the beginning or the end of it.
Right.
Well, there's always that disclaimer at the start too, that it's been, modified for content and time
Sure.
allowance as well. So you're like, all right, well, what else did I miss?
Yeah. I think my most famous example of that is the very first time I saw Showgirls was on TV. So I missed half the movie.
Based on content?
Yeah.
Dustin was watching it for the plot, the stories. That's
always
why
the plot.
Always. That's why he was there.
I'm
It's just
a
like
huge Kyle
when you're reading a
MacLachlan
certain.
fan, and that is canonical.
Well, I had seen The Naked Gun. I stumbled across it. I had heard people mention The Naked Gun. I had even heard quotes from the movie, but I didn't go to the rental store and say I need to rent this. This was one of those things where I had heard quotes and I didn't realize what it was coming from, and so I stumbled across it on TV. Now this movie does actually pretty well, even on TV, and I came in earlier than I thought. But I rarely, like, if I come into a movie, I usually go back to the beginning, but this was probably before I had become so rigid. So I saw this one probably in high school. So I'm probably around, I don't know, 17 or 16, somewhere in there, maybe, when I first saw this one. And I loved it. I already loved Airplane. And so this was just right in my wheelhouse already. And Dustin, I completely can see that this has like rubbed off on you because you say you're serious. You're an excellent student, a far better student than I was and stuff. And you're really, but being your roommate, I must have been in that space where you came home and got to be goofy, because I see that deadpan delivery of saying something ridiculous with a little bit of an undertone of like just being goofy. I can see where Leslie Nielsen has imprinted on your comedy sensibilities, and I love that about you, and I love that about Leslie Nielsen. He is a delight when you watch him in interviews, and he is a delight in these movies. Yeah, he does a lot of movies like this afterwards, but like you said, Dustin, it all goes back to Airplane and Naked Gun. Both of them are done by the Zucker brothers and Leslie Nielsen, and it's a great combination. They're just made for each other. So this one makes me so happy. This one is on my top 100 comedies list, and I can't recommend it enough. And you're right, Rebecca. I think there's a lot of people out there who just, this is so stupid. I feel like my IQ is lowering, and people have to be in the right mood. And the good news is, I guess my IQ is not high enough because I'm always in the right mood for this. But my mood is just about any time for this. So I fall into this one so quickly. Sometimes people have a movie that they just love, like Brian always talks about. I fall into a battle scene of a war movie, and I gotta watch that. Well, this movie has that kind of magnetism. This is my catnip, so I'm very happy here.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into this one. There will be spoilers that lie ahead, and we will be back after these messages.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason. And this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we're finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments too.
It's the All 80s Movies Podcast, now available on all major streaming platforms. Please subscribe and happy listening.
All right, we are back, and this is your final warning. For those who haven't seen The Naked Gun from the Files of the Police Squad, since 1988, Rebecca, will you help us and give us the honor of refreshing our memories?
The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad is a slapstick crime comedy that follows bumbling Los Angeles Police Lieutenant Frank Drebin, played by Leslie Nielsen, as he tries to thwart an assassination plot against Queen Elizabeth II during her visit to the United States. After his partner Nordberg is critically injured while investigating a heroin smuggling ring, Drebin takes over the case. His sleuthing leads him to a shady businessman, Vincent, who is using mind control to turn unsuspecting people into assassins. Along the way, Drebin falls for Ludwig's assistant, Jane Spencer, played by Priscilla Presley, and stumbles his way through high-speed chases, disastrous press conferences, and a chaotic baseball game finale. Despite his constant blunders and incompetence, Drebin accidentally uncovers the plan and saves the Queen in the most absurd, over-the-top fashion imaginable.
All right. Now, before we get into this, I always like to play this game. Normally, this is more of an action movie thing, but I'm going to kick it out there anyway. Price is Right rules. Without going over, what do you think the body count is of the Naked Gun? Dustin, do you want to go first?
16.
16? Okay. Rebecca, again, without going over Price is Right rules, what's the body count of the Naked Gun?
4.
Well, because the answer is 10, and so Dustin, you went 16, you went over. So Rebecca...
We were actually equally away. I just went over.
Right. Now 2 are implied, so, but 10 is the actual body count. So let's hop into this one. This is one of 3 1988 comedies that'll feature a scene in which a villain is run over by a steamroller. I'm just going to throw that one right out of there. We covered another one recently with A Fish Called Wanda, and we covered another one with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So, so steamrollers. Maybe, Dustin, we covered Fish Called Wanda together. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes,
so I mean, maybe we can. I don't know. I can only hope that we can carve out something like you and Nathan have as the Big Boat Boys, but steamroller death scenes,
or that me and Chad have with wheelchairs.
Yes.
I think it is definitely reaching its way into our Mount Rushmore of movie tropes.
Yeah.
Note to self: stay away from steamrollers.
It really works for me. It's batting 100% for me right now. So if you have other steamroller death scenes, then I mean, so far it's going great.
But my father went the same way. and it was bus, then steamroller, then USC marching band. My father went the same way.
Oh, well, so this movie is taken off of a TV series, Police Squad, which I didn't know until we started to research this. That was new to me. So clearly I missed the TV show. It wasn't highly successful. It didn't run for a long time. And one of the creators, David Zucker, was in an interview saying, I kind of knew this didn't really work on TV. They pressured them. They wanted laugh tracks in. But I mean, a huge part of his style in movie making is to not call attention to things. There's comedy. It's constantly kind of running. There's stuff in the background. There's stuff in the foreground. And so a laugh track would either be running continuously and just wouldn't be working. The point is, this flopped on TV. It didn't work. It required you to really watch and pay attention to appreciate it. And that's just something that TV audiences at the time had no attention span for. And even though this isn't a long movie, the longer play probably gives you a chance to immerse more into these characters and that sensibility and let you be in that headspace. As you mentioned, Rebecca, you must get in the mood. And if you're not in the right mood each week when that TV show happens to drop in the early 80s, then people weren't feeling it. And
there was no DVR.
Yes, there was no DVR, and there was no binge watching. It might have done better with binge watching, actually. So I'm going to ask you, Rebecca, as a forerunner of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and, or like these goofy kind of police kind of situations, we have Leslie Nielsen. It's the same guy. It's the same concept. Why, without having seen the TV show yourself, why do you feel like we have this high-earning movie where people really fell in love with it at the time? It's aged very well in terms of people still appreciate it. And even the critics have gone to bat for it and spawned 2 more sequels and now a remake. What is it that this failed TV show didn't get right that they have gotten right here? What's making that happen, in your opinion?
When you sit down to watch a movie, you can actually dedicate time to it. And when you're looking at a TV show, when you don't have DVR, you don't have binge watching, you're having to sit there and try and make yourself available. With it being a movie, you've got a defined start, you've got a defined end, and you can dedicate the time to sit down and watch.
Yeah. I think I had my wrong soda thing. It would be New Coke around this time. Crystal Clear Pepsi came later. My mistake.
Yeah, it would have been
on
a
that one.
little later, probably.
Yeah, New Coke commercial. Sorry.
I think Rebecca gets on something. We know that like Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been a cop comedy that's been successful in the last 15 years, but most of our cop shows are serious, and we are inundated with them. We got a million of them. I can't explain why Police Squad did not work, but this movie does so well. The things that I think people like about this are the stakes are high, is that we've got assassination. It's shot almost like soap opera, or it's shot like the drama is very important. It's shot like each scene like the movie is taking itself seriously and failing.
Mhm.
We do talk about how sometimes comedies don't take themselves serious, and that's what allows them to succeed. I think what makes this funny is that it's like this movie is trying to take itself serious and missing the mark, which has been funny in other media. I think I know that we shouldn't really compare these comedy styles, but like people figured out like the Pythons, like of their style, their wackiness was a very particular thing. And I think after the O.J. Simpson scene of getting shot a bunch and then touching wet paint and then leg in a bear trap and then falling into a wedding cake, I think it's kind of, and I'm going to use another comedy. It's kind of like, Daffy Duck hitting himself with a mallet over his head. Is that we're going to teach you right away how to enjoy this movie, which is we're gonna push past the point of like what makes sense. We're gonna push past like believable, and people seem to love it. The movie made 7 times what its budget was. Like once people understood this is what I'm watching, they were in it for the long haul. And then as the rest of these gags keep coming throughout, it just became, word of mouth must have took off. Because like, you got to see this. It's too funny.
Especially with like the hospital bed folding in half multiple times, and
yeah, is slapstick pratfalls. We have, the Reggie Jackson gets flattened by a woman from, a couple stories up. You've got the vehicle continuously. Frank cannot stop his car in time, so continuously running into stuff is that's why I like that sort of hitting you with a hammer over your head over and over and over. Is this isn't going to stop. This is how we're going to make the joke work. We're not going for that subtle. We're going for, this is a joke. Enjoy. And then here it is 10 more times.
We're going to be ridiculous as possible.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I think when we covered Blazing Saddles, there was a parody film that was done earlier, and the Zucker brothers, who did Airplane prior to this as well, have a different take on this. And kind of like what you're saying, like this does well in a movie format, this parody film. I don't know that a TV, you can satire and do some of that on TV, but to parody, this is parodying film noir classic mysteries or Private Investigator or cop movies. Some of the things that we have covered here before, narrating and talking to the camera in that kind of serious monotone voice. You could see something like Humphrey Bogart doing that, or something like Double Indemnity, where even the people on the wrong side of the law or something, we're kind of in there, and this serious cop kind of world. I think Leslie Nielsen is a big part of this because he reads these lines absolutely seriously, and they're ridiculous lines, and he lets the lines do the work for them. And I think that's one thing that Zucker had mentioned before. I think Priscilla Presley said that she was nervous in making this movie, and she's like, I'm not a comedian. I don't feel like I'm not making people laugh. And, David Zucker said, let the comedy come from the lines. Let the lines do their magic. Play it straight. Treat it serious, and it will become more absurd. And he said that's a piece of advice I later took and gave to other people. She was a pro with that. And Leslie Nielsen was asked, how do you get prepared to do a role like this? And he says, I treat it seriously, and I want to I play the part and the way it ought to be played. But if you ask me how I get in the right frame of mind, I get up early because I want to come to work earlier so I can start laughing sooner. It's a whole lot of fun to be on the set with these people. And, once you enter that headspace of just making people laugh, he had this quality to him that is so in sync with what the Zucker brothers wanted. And that is a chemistry piece of magic. This doesn't work without the Zucker brothers. It doesn't work without Nielsen, because I think we've seen some other things. I don't know. People really like Hot Shots and stuff like that might have come later off the back of this. I find that Leslie Nielsen takes this kind of satire or parody and elevates it several steps up higher.
He's got a commitment to this. Even that interview answer is it's hard to say like tongue in cheek, but it's really kind of like leaning so far in, like, no, we're trying to do a good cop movie. That's what we were trying to do. It was law enforcement saving the day. That's all we're doing. And the idea that like they have the perfect recipe and they replace salt with sugar. Whoops. But they're going to keep going as if they made no mistake. Like this is, it's like taking it seriously so hard that where we can laugh along with how our detective character messes up, or how his partner is always getting hurt, or any of the other stuff that like everybody else can be a straight man. Everybody else can be what you play off of. Is the taking it seriously so hard, but the context is so fun. It does work in that sense.
We begin this movie on perhaps an unexpected note. I sometimes forget that this movie opens up with like an opening spy, espionage, international scale, where he takes out a room full of dictators. How do we feel about this opening? This big, large scale, almost James Bond parody.
He can be this like super spy, super cop, international affairs, stopping like this incredible dastardly plot. But it's all done like the way that he's just kind of punching and chopping. It all seems so over the top that it's okay that it's jarring, and it's okay that it kind of is completely separate than the rest of this plot. It's just sort of setting you up for, here's our man, surprise.
Yeah, it's a strange introduction to the character, and like you just demonstrated, Rebecca, like your memory could just go to the opening credits of the cop car in first person's perspective running around. That seems very on tone for the rest of this movie, moving through interiors of buildings, locker rooms and kitchens and etc.
It's not, there's so much that happens after that.
That's fair.
That I feel like it's not the thing that stands out.
Yeah. I mean, OJ, going through the Looney Tunes series of all the things that Dustin mentioned of hitting your head, then putting your hands on wet paint, which is, being frustrated that after you've been shot a million times and then being, oh no, I got paint on me. Like that is so funny. And then
like after the opening credits, that's the next thing that my brain goes to.
It builds up to a bear trap. Not only is that OJ scene funny, but the hospital scene that comes in is absolutely hysterical. I mean, the dialogue written here and delivered by Nielsen is amazing. There's a 50-50 chance of living, but there's only 10% chance of that. Like he's such a bad comfort to Norberg's wife of like, who would do this?
Yeah, and he
like,
starts
not one of my men will rest until he's caught. Let's go get lunch.
Right. Yeah, we've described successful comedies in the way that they kind of approach from several fronts. So the idea that you have, any character that is harming Nordberg, which is essentially his entire role in the movie, is him getting hurt or staying hurt. But then with the dialogue afterwards of just how bad at comforting the wife he is, and he's not doing it with a wink to the camera. He's not doing it with a side smirk, like I'm trying to get a rise out of her. No, he's just bad at it, and that's what he's and Leslie Nielsen is serious about being bad at it, delivering these lines like he means them.
The other guy keeps trying to backpedal, and like he's like, well, we just want you to know whenever he's back on his feet, he's absolutely welcome back to the force, unless he's a complete
vegetable.
and then credit to the wife, she's so good at crying, like like playing it up for yucks. I mean,
that was the most dramatic crying ever, with 0 tears shed.
Again, it's Looney Tunes in real life, and I absolutely love it. Ebert liked this movie. He gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, which he went to bat hard for it. But I remember when we covered Home Alone, he said, this is violence, and it's from the cartoons, and it's funny in the cartoons, and it's not funny in real life. And I would say he's being inconsistent because I think it is hilarious in real life. I mean, I think the guy literally being steamrolled, or all these scenes of, being what happened to OJ, like you said, Dustin, there's a very cartoon quality to it, and it is being done in real life. And it is very, very funny to see these things, to step into a cartoon-like world here, and it's much less in a serious world of police work.
Yeah, every time Lieutenant Drebin pulls up in his vehicle, someone gets hurt. So he pulls up to the dock and knocks a fisherman into the water right away. And there's not a single acknowledgement that he has done so.
Not at all.
He pulls up to another building and knocks a scaffolding down, and 6-7 guys come falling off of it, and he doesn't acknowledge it. He walks on forward. Later on, he pulls up to the police station, hits something so hard that all of his airbags go off, and that's the only time that he even recognizes that, like, I might be in trouble. And his only response is, I have to go inside. Doesn't apologize to anyone. He's somebody get the plates on that car. Like he is capable. He took down a whole like Middle Eastern assassination plot just with karate chops. Like, we know he's
single-handedly.
Capable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ever let me catch you coming to America. Bust out the window. But then he's this same guy cannot park his car right, or the same guy gets lost in the city that he lives in and ends up outside of LA. He's capable, right? He enters his own apartment and, like a cat burglar, flips and cartwheels and backs handsprings. The slapstickiness of that, and then let me slip into something more comfortable, and he puts on a different suit. Like this is all he is. I think you nailed it with the he's cartoony made real, but he's taking himself very seriously. He's the opposite of Judge Doom.
Well, he's not good at turning his microphone off at the press conference, which is another one of those like things where he just continues to dig his hole and dig his hole deeper and deeper and deeper. I mean, and then again, credit to the mayor for her facial reactions. She seems so proper, and again, good casting on this to react to him like with utter horror for this long pee in the bathroom, and it's being vocalized over everybody during the press conference. Because when you start the press conference, you're not like, it's not like this is a riot, where's this going? But you don't have to wait long in this movie for something to hit. It's you don't go through a dry spell for long.
The joke is telegraphed, like you see it coming, because he's got so many pitchers of water in front of him, and the shot is purposeful to keep it in there. And then the decision to have his mic not work and then replace it with somebody else's mic might seem so mundane, but this is where credit has to go to like our writer's room. Is that they say, like, I want to get that joke in. Like, we all pitched these ideas as to what jokes should be in, and all of them need to have a proposed seriousness to them, or all of them need to fly in the face of seriousness, but they all need to be long. So some people might say, like, okay, that's kind of crass humor, is the sound of the pee and the fart and him singing and all, and it goes longer and then it keeps going and everyone is like disgusted by it. But that's the tone. That's what the movie intended to do. Is
I think
all
that's
of
the
these
funny
things.
part of it, is the fact
Yeah.
that it keeps going.
We're gonna push
Yeah.
it. We're gonna push it. We're gonna keep pushing it. I sometimes take credit away, like with when you can tell that, like, oh, they just really wanted to get this joke in. But this movie is like, let's take these jokes and put them on a pedestal and let them shine for a little too long. That's funny. They're doing it on purpose, and it is well done.
I think the longer that whole scene goes, like, the funnier it gets. And I sat there, and the harder I laughed.
Knowing the right amount of where we're feeling the energy. Where do I need a laugh? How are we going to do this in there? Can I do this also? And I would say with the Naked Gun, it never seems like it's too much. And more importantly, you never go on a dry spell. There's always something coming.
When they draw from a well, they draw from it fully. I remember when he's looking at Ludwig's office and he talks about, like, the samurai pen.
I love
Okay?
this scene.
This is a joke. It's a joke that is funny. There could have been 5 or 6 other interesting things for him to play with in this office. Instead, they decide to commit to the samurai pen, invulnerable to everything except water. Of course, what happens right away? He flings it into a fish tank. So then he's got to go over there and try to fish it out. And he grabs a scorpion fish or whatever, and he has to hide it behind his back.
Super exotic, rare fish that he already mentioned cost thousands of dollars.
Yes. And it bites him, and then he's got to hide it behind his back, and like all of this while Ludwig is like giving his speech about, like, this city, it used to be Orange Groves, whatever. Is that, like, that villain is taking himself seriously. The audience is supposed to take this villain seriously. Later on, then we've got, like, the baseball game. Baseball game is joke after joke after joke all over the pitch, all over the field, and in general, like, we know that it serves a purpose, right? But all the commitment to, he has to search every player from being the umpire, and then you kind of take it from another angle, which is, oh, he really enjoys being the umpire. There are 7 announcers or 8 announcers in the press box. Like, that scene, that's where it's like, here's a smorgasbord of jokes to play with. And I would actually say, in retrospect, the baseball scene, like kind of a big set piece, like to end the movie with, I think there is too much to play with. In general, I'm much happier when they focus on one thing and really draw full from that well. I would say that the baseball scene as an end scene was maybe a little too scattershot, a little bit too much on our plate.
Rebecca, I think Dustin brings up a good point with the fish and the samurai pen scene. We haven't talked about Leslie Nielsen's physical comedy. We did talk about his ability to deliver this dialogue, but do you enjoy... we could keep talking about slapstick. There is physical humor in this one. And I'm not necessarily saying he's Jim Carrey, Jerry Lewis level, but certainly for an older gentleman, you don't tend to see somebody getting involved so physically with their body. We didn't see this from him in an Airplane. Do you like it here?
Seeing him as an older gentleman doing all of these things, I enjoyed, because I feel like it gave an added, like, committed element to the movie. If that makes sense. Like, when he was doing all the cartwheels and stuff through the apartment, you're not expecting a lot of the things that he does, just the way he carries himself. Like, he's very matter of fact. So when he does do all the different things from the umpire...
Yeah, that's probably the most physical aspect of this movie, is when he's playing the umpire.
The Michael Jackson dance, you mean?
Yeah, he moonwalks. I mean, he hits the splits. I mean, yeah, I mean, so some of it isn't actually Leslie Nielsen,
Right.
So we know some of that, right? But yeah, it's. I think you were getting to it with, is that he's generally pretty buttoned up. So I would say a lot of his physical humor is in subtleties. When he sees Jane in his apartment, like in his shirt, and she is actually kind of playing straight man a lot of this movie, and she says, "I'm boiling a roast," and pulls it out with a fork. His You can tell that like the direction is supposed to be, yeah, this needs to be sexy. This needs to be like smoldering. And he is trying. His character is trying. But instead, like the way he delivers a line, like I I like it like boiling hot and awfully wet, is like perfectly unsexy. And that it like to nail that, you want to hope that it was somehow found. Like, how do we make this, feeding her a piece of steak and then lingering his finger in her mouth? Then he hits it up with a, "I've got 9 more of those, baby." It's so unsexy.
I'm pretty sure I
it's
gagged.
it's
Like,
shot. It's shot taking itself seriously like it is.
Yeah, I know.
That's where you are. It's such a tongue-in-cheek thing. Sometimes the physical humor isn't about the pratfall; it's about the buttoned-up aspect of it.
I like how sometimes they broadcast it so far ahead of the time. You know it's coming, and the payoffs are greater than you ever would have wanted. I really like that as a thing. I think one of the best examples of that is the collection of Ming vases, oil paintings,
Yeah.
and fine art that was then destroyed. It's
Right.
just like they've laid it on so thick.
he's juggling them all, trying to catch the ones that aren't falling, and then still manages to knock the whole freaking thing over.
Yeah. Well, it's like telegraphed. The scene is set for things to go wrong,
Mhm.
and it's by this point in the movie, you know it. You expect it. Why on earth would there be a house of cards on that deck or on that desk? There is no reason. But in this movie, you see Frank sneaking up to a desk with with a house of cards on it. This is where you smile to yourself, being like, "What's he gonna do? What does he need to do?" And what does he do? He flawlessly pulls the sheet from underneath.
Subverting expectations momentarily.
Yes.
Only momentarily.
Yes.
For about 3 seconds.
Of all he's a cop. Of course, he's got a flashlight, but of course, instead, he chooses to light a Zippo lighter to read the only piece of evidence that's going to like lead them to the arrest. All of these things, it's like it's like a kid's show when like the cartoon character is like talking to the kids. Is like, "Should I choose this door?" And all the kids are like, "No, no, no, choose the other door." It's kind of like that, where the Lieutenant Frank Durbin's going, "Should I do the correct police thing?" And we as the audience are like, "No, do the stupid police thing, because that's who you are. You're the stupid guy." That's how I felt with this. Is like, oh, of course he's going to end up making a huge mess of this operation. That's great. Of course he's going to end up ruining the baseball game and catching the offensive player between 2 umpires. Well, looks like the two umpires have the guy in a pickle. He's gonna make a bigger mess of it, trying so earnestly to be the good cop.
Yeah, it really is. And let's give some credit. We keep praising Nielsen, and he's a big part of what's working here. But the supporting cast, we got our villain, Ricardo Montalban. We've got Lieutenant Frank Drevin's, I guess, superior on the force here, played by George Kennedy, who, apparently David Zucker said on commentary that they needed an Oscar winner in one of the major roles that led to the casting of George Kennedy, who had been actively campaigning for the role of Ed Hawkins several months, saying that he was furious that have missed out on Airplane so he could parody himself. So he got a second shot here to be in this one. So he really wanted it. We have the mayor, as we mentioned. There's a lot of straight men around him. The driving instructor would be another one. There's a lot of people who are asked to be various straight men. The man who's interrogated down at the docks where they exchange money back and forth. Rebecca, there's a common thread of each of these people must come in to, let Leslie Nielsen do his thing and to work. But it's seemingly, what surprises me is how well each of these people work with him chemistry wise.
I guess it's because nobody's intentionally trying to be funny. They're just reading it line per line, doing it like they're serious.
I mean, OJ's physically funny because bad things happen to OJ.
Right.
But I don't think some of Leslie Nielsen's other efforts are quite as successful. They did a movie called Spy Hard, which was like a fugitive kind of parody. It works okay. I mean, there's diminishing returns with this series. Dracula Dead and Loving, it's perhaps a disappointing last movie for Mel Brooks. It's not as bad of a movie as I think it was rated to be, but it's getting towards the end of Leslie Nielsen's run there, and maybe some of it's him getting older, but the density of the jokes that we've talked about here, the variety of ways that they're making you laugh aren't there as much. So I would say that there's something I gotta at some point give credit to either the casting or the direction for how to interact with Leslie, because it's consistently successful across the board. I don't think anybody blows you away. I think Priscilla Presley's probably your best at working off of him, or maybe she just gets the most opportunity necessarily, but there's a lot of successful banter back and forth. He must have somebody to spar with and to let him say ridiculous things in a serious way.
I think she's the one that we see the most.
Probably, yeah. Maybe that's why I'm saying that.
I think we also have an effort to get jokes in,
Yes.
and jokes that are good can't all be delivered by one person. He has no sidekick that is as funny as him. He is mostly surrounded by straight men. They wanted someone on the force to be tall. Why? No idea. It made them laugh in the writer's room. That Al is so tall you can't see his face.
Yeah, and the Q-Lab kind of parody.
In the Q-Lab parody, right?
Yeah.
Is they ask the doctor, it's Ed and Ted. They ask Ted about the fibers in the coat, and he will not answer the question before they get to these other things. The jokes. It's about who they wrote the jokes for. These other characters aren't meant to be like, I remember that character because it's funny. They are there to serve the joke. Al, being very tall, is eating a banana. Well, it's a comedy rule. Bananas are funny. Hey, Al, you've got something on the side of your mouth. He lifts his huge hand up off frame. No, your other side. Then you see he basically the entire other part of the banana. Yeah, that's a joke written. Al, the tall guy, is not funny. It's the joke written for this character that apparently made it past the edit. The Swiss Army shoe. That character, Ted, isn't that funny. And Ed holding the Swiss Army shoe, that exists for the joke in the parody. Not about that character being memorable for being funny. Then you finish it off with, okay, they're in a lab. Let's have our dope lieutenant do something funny. Hey, take a look at these fibers through the microscope. Okay. He leans down. I don't see anything. Use your open eye. That's the joke. Is that this very good police officer who is so good that he stopped international crime is looking through the microscope with his eye closed. And for no reason at all, turning the knobs on the side of the microscope until you get the audible crack of the whatever you call those things, because he breaks it. Because he breaks stuff. He's a Tasmanian devil of chaos. But it's all under this demeanor of we're trying to get the bad guy. Like I think when we talk about who he plays with, it's meant to display the jokes. The jokes were written. We know they'll work. Doesn't matter who they come from.
And I think I've mentioned a little bit before about the good nature of what was going off stage before between Nielsen and the cast, and people genuinely speak very highly of having worked with Nielsen. He would have a fart machine that would make fart sounds that he would have, and he would pull it out at random times and keep people laughing with it. Eventually, the assistant director got so frustrated at the use and people cutting up and maybe becoming less productive that he said, okay, no more fart machine. But there's a YouTube clip that collects a series of his interviews, and this is something that he would do,
Yeah, I've seen this.
Throughout, and he would be very serious and answering these things. And someone would ask him, and he'd act like he has the pretentious actor answer that he's starting to say, and then he would hit his own fart button, and Conan or whoever it would be would end up cracking up. And Leslie has this thing that people said that, wherever you go, like, people get excited to see you, and that the affections of Naked Gun and Airplane start to become self propelling. It would carry him through these later movies of lesser efforts. People just want to see Leslie doing these things. He even gets brought into the Scary Movie role with this, and so I think one of the cool things when you start to look behind the scenes is what a fun set this would have been on. The Zuckers are really funny. David Zucker's a funny guy with a good sense for humor. Leslie is a really fun guy to be around. We cover a lot of movies. Again, I like to laugh a lot. This seems like a really fun set to be on. I think it's another interesting that Zucker took a lot of the stuff from the TV show. One of the things that enabled them to be so dense with the jokes is, even though it didn't work on TV, they were able to basically hijack and take some of the things that they had done from the Police Squad TV show. The driver scene where they get into a high-speed chase with a driver student, that was taken from the TV show. I think the tall, out-of-frame character was used on the TV show that you mentioned, Dustin.
Yeah.
So they had things. They had stuff, like, if you want to say on note cards, like, what are the best things we want to bring forward to the movies? But they still had to put it together in a coherent way.
There's some other stuff too that, like, this is where some credit goes, and this is where, like, the credit really matters for the people that spend time on movies like us, the people that like to learn movie trivia. I know, Rebecca, you're huge into movie trivia. The craft, the people that are in the booth, the sportscasters. Each of those is a legend. Each of those. Enberg was a big deal to me because of how much I watched tennis. Dick Vitale is in the movie, one of the greatest voices in basketball. I don't think he has a line, Russ.
I don't think so.
He's in there. Dr. Joyce Brothers is at the end. It's just done to be like, that'd be funny. And then someone says, would it be funnier if they don't do anything? And at the table they go, maybe that would be funny if we bring these people in and we actually don't have them matter at all. That'd be pretty good.
But that's one of those things that you have to pay attention to even see that they're there.
And it's the craft, and that's where you go, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good that they did that.
Now, something that doesn't impact the movie in a negative way, but I feel the need to point out, is we have the California Angels, who Reggie Jackson did not play for, in it, and they're playing in Dodger Stadium. And Dodger Stadium is fairly distinct with its kind of 60s undulating outfield canopies that go around the outside. So when they have Angel Vision driving around, in first person, decapitating one of the outfielders, it's all happening in Dodger Stadium. And so I don't know why the Dodgers were. I don't know if this is one of those things where I remember we covered Good Will Hunting, and Ben Affleck really did not want to wear a Yankees hat.
Yankees hat, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Good Will Hunting. It was Gone Girl. Ben Affleck would not wear a Yankees hat.
That's right.
I don't know if somebody just doesn't like the Dodgers, but I don't know why the Dodgers are.
The Dodgers refused to take part because the script called for the teams to fight each other.
But so the Angels just get to use the stadium. I don't. That's really strange. But anyway,
It was the Dodgers brass said, yeah, we'll be in it, but don't like, you know how teams have like their rules. Like here's one you might not have even known, Russ. Until 3 years ago, no Utah Jazz player could ever wear a headband.
I did not know that.
Right, and that's just the thing about that team. There are things about teams where it's like no facial hair for the Yankees, right? So there's little rules about teams, and so this thing about the Dodgers was you're not going to portray the Dodgers getting into a fist fight.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I was a little stuck on that.
So after Nielsen's death in 2010, ESPN published an obituary for Enrico Palazzo, writing a true Renaissance man. Enrico Palazzo umpired a game after performing the national anthem. He was the first and only umpire to eject another umpire from a major league game. He also is believed to be the first and only umpire to use an upright vacuum cleaner to tidy up home plate.
Yeah, that's really good.
I'll tell you one that I thought was a reference. There was a moment where the guy falls into like a vat of chemicals, and meat processing plant actually, and his hand sticks out of like the the kind of chemical solution or whatever, and the shot lingers on it. I really thought that was like a Batman thing of like when Joker gets knocked in
too. Yeah,
but you know what? This came out before Joker, and that is merely coincidence. I even wrote down Batman reference. Okay, and then later on, I was like, wait a minute, Batman's 89. We just covered that, and then I was like, that's maybe Tim Burton stole that. I don't know. That was a good shot. And then of course later on, we see a hot dog served with a ring on the finger. That's a long payoff. Like that's like
right.
So I sat there and I watched it with Robert, and when that scene came, and it was the guy falling into the vat of the toxic liquid or the chemicals, he tells me, he leans over and he goes, now pay attention to the ring. And I'm like, okay, because he's obviously seen the movie
so
before.
Robert's a fan of this movie and knows everything that's going on then.
Yeah, so he's seen it before. Our movie collection is very extensive. I just haven't watched most of them. So he's like, pay attention to the ring. And I'm like, okay. And then it gets to that scene and I'm like, oh, now I like hot dogs even less now.
I want to point out the romantic sequence, which was a brilliantly fun thing to do, to put a lot of jokes into a shorter period of time. But the Something Tells Me That I'm Into Something Good is one of those songs where I think Something About Mary added like Build Me Up Buttercup at the end, where it's just like, I really like this song. And it's like, and now I like the song.
Hermits.
Yeah. I like the song even more because I think of The Naked Gun when I hear it now.
The only thing, I mean, we generally like to talk about the music on the show. Comedies, I don't think lend themselves so much to the music or the score. I think the thing that really makes sense is that montage of them having like a fun day with cotton candy and on the beach with Herman's Hermits, and then they even kind of present it like it's a music video. That's the joke. The joke using the music is good. The rest of the movie has suitable music that's fine. But having that section of like, this is a joke, that's what you take home.
I like the serious music playing. I feel like you're in for a cop show at the beginning with the first person headlight, like the view there.
That has been definitely reused or homaged before. I think Family Guy did it something in the last 20 years where they have a Family Guy intro. Like it's been redone. It's I'm not going to go so far as to say iconic, but it is recognizable to those who know them.
Okay. Architectural detail that I have got to point out I have to. The domes that are these concrete reactor containment domes that actually remind Frank of his ex-lover's breasts they're real. They didn't have to. That seemed like an Austin Powers prop, but they didn't. They picked it out and there it was ready to go.
It was also one of the last major Hollywood studio films to have a mono soundtrack. before they switched over to stereo.
It's later than I would have expected, to be honest with you. I would have thought we would have been there. I would have thought that would have switched over certainly by the early 80s completely. So that surprises me on that. All right. I was going to say, why don't we get into handing out some awards, you guys?
Listo.
Rebecca, do us the honors. Who is the MVP of The Naked Gun from 1988?
I'm going to say it's got to be Leslie Nielsen.
He's the engine. This movie is tailor-made to set him up, and it works brilliantly. I like the pick there. Dustin, how about you?
It's not just it does a great job. It's a one-of-a-kind job, a like genre-setting job. The idea that 37 years later we're going to have Liam Neeson essentially try to do a Leslie Nielsen impression for a brand new movie. There's no way around it. That's what he's going to be compared to. And that's what all things like this should be compared to. You had to pick Nielsen too, Russ, right?
I did pick Nielsen. I think Zucker's really funny, and this is one of his best efforts. So I'm sorry, both of the Zucker brothers are, I should say. They're brilliant. I love them. But as you just said, Dustin, it's Leslie Nielsen. And he said that one morning I woke up and I decided I was taking myself too seriously. You know, he really was frustrated at what he had accomplished in his career or had not. If you recall, a long time ago, we covered a science fiction movie called Forbidden Planet, and he was in that. And it was weird for me to go back and see Leslie Nielsen, A, young, and B, actually being serious and, you know, doing these like deep voiced, you know, like I'm leading a space exposition, you know, out. And so this is what he became known for. And so he was saying that one morning I woke up and I realized I was taking myself too seriously, and I just stopped. And ever since that, I've continued to just stop taking myself so seriously. And when you stop taking yourself so seriously, you stop blaming other people for the things that happened to you. And, you know, it really changed my life. It changed how I went through things. I became happier. And in doing that, that's where he finds himself through Airplane, through having these fart machines in these interviews and Naked Gun. And he seems like a person who genuinely made the most of his late acting career as an older actor, which I don't think that's very common in general. And I'm so glad that we got to see Leslie Nielsen shine. And this movie, he's a joy to watch. He makes me really happy to watch him in action. And like I said, just because of how successful he is here, it makes me appreciate other things that he did later that are honestly lesser efforts, but the good vibes will continue to carry over for me from this. Best supporting, Rebecca.
Probably Priscilla Presley. I feel like the way that they play off of each other, they're both being so serious, but the way the jokes are written and set up, they just work well.
Yeah. I mean, she's outstanding. She's falling down steps doing physical comedy. She's more often than not being serious, but you can see somebody who's just prettier, just getting, or just to say, just is a pretty face, I should say. Somebody who's just only in there to be pretty, and these things aren't going to work. She delivers a really good performance and makes all of the jokes work and makes it all come together so much by being so serious in it. She's outstanding, this one. In fact, they were looking at giving this to Bo Derek, just like I mentioned. And we did see her and Tommy Boy being funny, but I can't imagine giving this to anybody else other than Priscilla Presley. I follow your footsteps on that choice, Rebecca. I like your pick a lot there. Dustin, how about you? Who's your best supporting?
OJ.
Going with OJ?
Yep.
You're going with OJ?
Yeah. He's the only other character that is like the focal point of comedy, because if he's in the scene, he's the focal point. It's a great job. And everything OJ did since then has been just wonderful. So well done, OJ.
It's okay. I mean, hey, it is actively funny. So, I mean, somebody asked David Zucker how many times
Rebecca's got her head in her hands.
OJ's in an Airplane as well, and somebody asked Zucker in one of his interviews, how many times did you put OJ in your movies? He's like, 3. It's like, so somebody asked Leslie Nielsen in an interview of, what was it like with OJ? I mean, and so he gives one of these really starting to be serious answers of, and then he's like, I lent him my knife collection and he never gave it back, and I never saw him after that. So
hence why I just had my head and my hand. It was the way you said it, Dustin.
OJ, come on. The juice is loose.
It is funny. Did you like his performance better here than in Capricorn 1, Dustin? Because that's another OJ Simpson effort that you were covering.
Ah, man. Capricorn 1. Yikes. Yeah, he's way better here than in Capricorn 1. Yes, you're right.
I think he got a Razzie in that one, if I recall. So,
if I wasn't picking Priscilla Presley, I would say OJ, simply because I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Ricardo Montalban, by the way, is actually pretty awesome.
Pretty convincing work. Yeah. I would agree.
Shout out to him. So, hidden gem, Rebecca.
Winifred Friedman, who plays Stephanie.
Help me out. Oh, is this the driving?
This is the driving student.
Oh, yeah.
She starts out all like meek and I have no idea what I'm doing. And then she is gung-ho after that and has balls of steel. Other than her, I would say Weird Al, because I don't think he really serves a purpose aside from that press conference, like right at the start of the movie. But it was just so funny because the mayor goes, or was it the mayor or was it the whichever one leans over because he's standing there talking about, oh, I'm not a hero, da 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 da. And she's like, they're not here for you. And he keeps going.
Ed, his partner. Yeah.
Yeah, Ed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Between those two, it was kind of a toss up.
I'm glad you pointed out Weird Al. That would have been my pick as well. I love Weird Al, and a parody movie having the king of the parody song, and Weird Al aged amazingly well. I believe he, Michael Jackson, and Madonna are the only individuals who had hits in the 80s, 90s, O's, and 10s, and the top 40 hits. So, and I don't know what circumstances of post death hits that Michael Jackson did to get in there, but Weird Al has endured in a way that few artists have been able to. So, and like you said, at the time, it would have been like a low-level celebrity to have had like a Beatles-like reception. So that in itself is also really funny. The notion of Weird Al getting off a plane and being greeted by a massive media fanfare is also awesome. So, Dustin, how about you? Dustin, hidden gem.
I had a bunch to choose from. I'll run through them kind of quick. When I think about the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem, I do think about the way he sings it, and I do occasionally say that we still had a flag instead of that the flag was still there. I think that's so funny. I don't like hearing music out of tune, but it's one of the few cringy scenes that like I'll sit through because I think it's so funny. That I love visual and readable jokes. Anytime that's in a movie, I like to bring it up. And the reason I wanted to bring it up on this one is this movie does highlight the jokes. When he tackles the queen across the table and all of the newspapers are being shown, I paused the movie and tried to read all of the newspapers to see what print jokes would be in there. And what I got to tell y'all is this is a hidden gem. This is one of the few, like, it's not a pristine hidden gem. This is like an ugly gem. Is that the last newspaper says, Nix, Pix, Splix, Queen. Did you guys catch this?
No, I didn't. The photos are so funny. You're focused on his face of like looking wide-eyed at the camera. I mean,
yes, it is.
It's like they did a photo shoot.
It's funny, yeah, and it really is like a turn towards the camera, and that's the camera, right? Nix, Pix, Splix, Queen is meant to be. This is a joke that somebody at the writers' room pitched. That they all said, "That's clever, that's really good," but the payoff isn't there because you don't understand it. Splix is like journalism slang. I'm certain that Brian would know this. For explains. The Nix Pix is stop taking pictures. Nix the Pix. So this joke, Nix Pix Splix Queen, is supposed to be the queen on the bottom, like, with Leslie Nielsen on top of her, saying, "Stop taking pictures," explains the queen, but smushed into a headline. Even my description of the joke is like, wow, was that worth it?
You
But
did a deep dive, Dustin.
this was a deep dive. I said, that joke had to matter to somebody, and it made the cut, but it's not a good payoff. This is just one of those hidden gems that I was like, I gotta get to the bottom of it, and it is not worth it. But yeah,
investigative Melbardis
that's
in
right.
full swing on this
That's
one.
right. Yeah, I had to dive deep.
When you said it was a physical gag, I was hoping you'd point out my favorite physical gag is when he goes down to the docks. There's an outline body floating,
So good. Oh,
like
yes.
on the water, like an actual,
yes,
like the arms are all spread out too. Like,
yeah, the chalk line is floating on the water surface. That's so good.
I love that. Another hidden gem I want to shout out to is Nancy Marchand, Mayor Lillian Barkley. Her faces of her proper her proper presentation and being so appalled by Frank Drebin is so funny. She's great. Recast. If you had to recast somebody else and put somebody else in their place, who's it going to be? Rebecca? Probably not going to be Leslie Nielsen. So who will it be?
For this time period, I honestly don't know because everybody did really well. Modern day actors. That sounds really weird to say. But I guess modern day actors. I could see Melissa McCarthy as Stephanie.
Okay. Yeah, well, she would be, gosh, she'd be a great driving instructor yelling at this poor student too to what to do. Like, I could see her say, now put your hand out the window and extend your middle finger. Yeah, I like that. You can never do wrong by putting her in a movie for me. Dustin, how about you?
Melissa McCarthy was trying to play it straight comedic character in a movie I saw in 2018 that really should not get any accolades. The Happy Time Murders, which was
I wanted to see that one at the time just because she was in it.
Yes.
It got panned, and I didn't get around to it.
It deserved it.
So,
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah,
I was afraid that you were gonna say Tammy.
No. Yeah, it's just there's a way that in a way you could consider some of that movie like Naked Gun adjacent almost, but it fails on too many levels. So yeah, my recast. I actually thought Priscilla Presley was fine, but I did choose to recast her with Michelle Pfeiffer, who would have been 30 years old at this time. We know that this character is paying homage to the femme fatales. If our Drebin is going to be like our hard-boiled detective, then our femme fatale, let's lean in. And so I just went Michelle Pfeiffer.
Wow, you would have been a really young, but Grease 2, kind of like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Like 5 years after Grease 2. Yeah, not that young, but 30 years old. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My recast, I know he has some clout as an actor, but George Kennedy as Captain Ed, he wanted it. He got it. He is funny, but I thought that this was the opportunity to step this up with a more serious character. And I thought, wouldn't Lee Marvin be funny? The guy, he would have been a good age for this probably. He's in The Dirty Dozen, Liberty Valance, and The Professionals, all movies that we have covered. But I would like to see him try his hand at being a little bit funny. Take his serious presence that he has and bring it to this. And the other person that I would say, I don't have a specific role for him, but it's the right time to bring a young John Lovitz into here. I'd like to have him be like somebody younger at the police station. He does deadpan. He does like a deadpan, like saying ridiculous things really well himself. He would have been a natural for something like this.
John Lovitz is so funny. I don't know how he fits, who he replaces here.
I don't really have a replacement. I think you're going to have to write another character.
You just write a character.
Like have a junior person around the police station or something, because he's young at this point, and just have somebody who's like under him, like learning from him, like asking him questions of like, sir, I found this evidence or whatever. He's like, huh, so he didn't do it. Well, he was killed. like I could see more of a dialogue building out of like a gag that's in there with the power of John Lovett. Best shot. If you had to pick a best shot, Rebecca.
I'm gonna say the little montage where Drebin and Jane have that whole day together. And they've got the whole like little video montage. Because I honestly, like, from first perspective or the first time I saw it or whatever, I thought this was like multiple days. And then you get to the end of it and you realize that it was like a 24-hour time span.
I know, this is also funny. Dustin, how about your best shot?
LA movies are generally about the city. And when he's going on his long walk and he's doing like his hard-boiled voiceover, he's talking about like, what am I doing? And where am I? As his steps have walked off the sidewalk and he's completely outside the city, like in the hills. That gag is funny. And that shot is pretty of the city at night from the hills. It's a good shot.
I like that pick. That's really good.
Yeah. What was I getting into? What would this mean? And where am I?
That image of the movie, I think you brought up, Dustin, in the newspapers of Drebin on top of the Queen is what I would say, like, back of the movie, that is what it has to be. Like,
yeah.
Like that to me is, like you say, Naked Gun. That thing pops up to me right away. I would say in terms of like logistics and filming, the car rolling down the street is really good because it's causing a muck. It's banging into cars. It's knocking over scaffolding. It's the best car parking scene or the best car bad driving scene that you had said. So it's really good and it's shot well. So I think that it maximizes laugh through how it's shot. They said the Dodger Stadium was by far the hardest stuff to shoot. So because they had almost no extras, so they had to keep moving people around in order to make it look like they had people, and the logistics of doing a large scene like that was difficult. So best scene, Rebecca.
So I think I have two. My first one is going to be when Fred jumps in the back of the car with Stephanie, and she's all cautious at first and then just takes charge after, I believe, they're going into the tunnel with the semi, and then like they're almost fixing to hit, and then she puts it in reverse really quick, and then they get out of the tunnel, the semi driver's all pissed, and the driving instructor then like instructs her how to flip him off. That one, or the car goes into the fireworks factory or store, and then the whole place explodes.
Yeah, it's so funny. Dustin, how about you? Best scene.
Better than the Middle Eastern scene at setting up what this movie is gonna be is Nordberg kick through the door and his leg goes through the door. So all of the gangsters are waiting for him. He busts open the door. Police, drop your weapon. And one of the guys does. He followed up with kill him. He gets shot a bunch. He burns his hand. He gets paint on him. He steps in the bear trap. He falls in a wedding cake. That's the kind of thing where it's like, now the table's been set. Enjoy these jokes. This is how we're going to give them to you. You know, audience, hour and 22 minutes of just this. And that, I think it sets you up.
Oh, I love it. Mine is the dock scene where we get the sight gag that we just described with the chalk outline. We knock somebody in the docks when he comes in, and he ends up interrogating the foreman, I think, on the site. And he says, they end up trading this money back and forth. And so he's like, "Oh, I remember you, Drebin. What do you want? I want to ask you some questions." And he's like, "Are you familiar with that face?" "I don't know. Maybe my memory's not so great." So he hands him a $20 bill. "Maybe this will refresh your memory." "I don't know. It's still kind of hazy." And he hands him $20 more. "Yeah, I remember him. I used to see him around. What do you want to know?" "I can't tell you that." And he hands $20 back to him. And he's like, "I think this should help." I really don't think I should. So he hands him the full amount back with another $20. And he's like, "All right, his name's Norberg. He's a cop." "Oh, yeah. I heard he was dealing H." "What?" It's like, "I'm telling you, he's dirty." And then they end up like in a tussle. And he's like, all right. I worked with Ludwig sniffing. He tried to push something on one of my boys. Why should I tell you? And then he hands him $20 back again. And I still don't think I should tell you. $20 back again. And he was like, can you, I don't have $20. Can you spot me?
Spot me. Yeah.
He gives it back to him. This is like a who's on first kind of situation.
Yeah.
This is Marx Brothers stuff that I could see Groucho Marx doing. And I mean that in a really
That's
good
true.
way. And I love how ridiculous and funny this is going back and forth. The foreman doesn't necessarily, it's not the foreman that's happening. It's the dialogue and how quick, and Nielsen's really the one making this all work. It's so absurd and I love it. And it makes me really happy. It's probably nobody's favorite scene on this movie, but for me, I can't stop laughing at the interchange of same $20 or $40 going back and forth between the two of them. All right. Now, best wardrobe or makeup moment, Rebecca.
So this is where they're getting a little bit intimate, and Jane and Fred, and he's got the two-piece or the suit, and he pulls it off like this, like in half, and then one of them says, "Did you bring protection?" It's, "I always bring protection." And then they've got the giant condoms that they just put over themselves like a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I love, like you said, Dustin, there's a big age difference here, or perceived age difference, perhaps. I didn't do my homework right on that, but a sexy scene's not going to be sexy, and they set it up like it might, and then they just go totally goofy with how it disrobes and totally... those condom sight gags of like the whole body.
The full body condoms.
They're very funny. Dustin, how about you? What's your best wardrobe or makeup moment?
I was split. I think the moment that you see that Enrico Palazzo is a very heavy man, you immediately know. I immediately know that that Drebin's going to knock him out and steal his suit, and it's going to fit. You like that, that's the joke. It's not clearly they cast a guy of Pavarotti size. So like, this is a big guy, and that to make the movie work, like the movie is taking itself very seriously and failing. Like, okay, he puts the suit on and it's perfect. I have a runner up for this one, which is I do like the gag where they Ed and Frank are waiting. They're staking out, and so they've been eating red hot peanuts, and so they've got all the pink on their lips.
That's mine.
Oh, that's yours. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so my runner up is yours.
Yeah, their lips are like cartoonishly red, and they're on a stakeout. Like, it looks like they're wearing like lipstick, as they have like these.
Yeah, and that one has a great payoff too. That one's got the payoff where he goes to open the door and there's a 3-foot mound of these shells.
That's such a small one, but I don't know why it just cracks me up.
Yeah,
because they're both doing it. Neither one of them are telling each other.
It's not brought up again. It's just it's just the joke. It's like the joke is there. They open the door and they move on. And in the next scene, he doesn't have red all over his lips. Like it's so very clearly done for the purpose of, here's a joke for you.
I'm laughing hard just thinking about it. I love it. Change one thing, Rebecca.
I would like to see more of Nordberg's wife. I feel like
she was funny.
Yeah, just how over dramatic and over the top she was.
It was great.
Just finding some way to put her in somewhere, or if it's even her at the end after he goes down the stairs.
That would be good. How about you, Dustin? Change one thing.
I think the baseball scene lingers. I brought it up earlier. I think it would be funnier. Somebody wrote a whole bunch of baseball jokes. Dust busting the home plate instead of sweeping it off, or using the upright vacuum on it. The scenes about, like, here's like the blooper cam and a tiger kills the guy sliding into second. Like, all of these baseball jokes were written it makes me think there was either an episode of Police Squad or somebody had wrote another movie about baseball that didn't get made, but they were like, oh, I love these jokes. I'm like, okay, we'll get them in here. That's what I believe has happened. And so I like the baseball scene, but I also don't feel like it's right as the like kind of ending scene. So I'd like that to be earlier, like an example of how he succeeds against the odds, and then our final scene is of grander scale. That's what I would want out of it.
I like that. Mine's a really teeny tiny thing. We have a plane. It landed. Weird Al gets off of it. I would like Julie Haggerty and Robert Hayes from the movie Airplane to also come off the plane as part of the crew who flew the plane. Just even in the background, maybe one line or something just to say, this is Zucker, this is Nielsen, this is the airplane crew. You know, they're not in it, they're not taking all the attention away, but just a tip of the hat of connecting back to Airplane. And there is an airplane in it, so it's already set up for
Yeah.
it. So that would be my change one thing, really small. Now, this is a quote gold mine. Feel free, we can have some runner-ups.
Sure.
But if you had to pick a best quote of this movie, Rebecca.
It's okay. It's all right. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
I think Officer Bob Brady in South Park totally stole this as horrible things were happening in South Park. It's like, move along, nothing to see. So, Dustin, how about you? Best quote.
I thought about giving a bunch, but I'll do the full setup, which is yes, well, when I see 5 weirdos dressed in togas stabbing a guy in the middle of the park in full view of 100 people, I shoot the bastards. That was a Shakespearean in the Park production of Julius Caesar, you moron. You killed 5 actors. Good ones. That's the stinger at the end is that it's not that he killed 5 people, it's that the actors were good. That had to get laughs at the table. And so that's I mean sometimes you guys you probably tell by now is that like I put myself I transport myself into like the writer's room and see like how much fun were they having, especially for a fun movie. And so the idea that it stayed with good actors were killed. That incident on the South Side. I love it.
Look, sometimes good actors are hard to come by.
He killed 5 actors, you moron.
This is one of the hardest to pick a best quote from because there are so many things in this one. But one that stands out to me is when Jane says, "How could you do something so vicious?" And Vincent Luke goes, "It's easy, my dear. You forget. I spent 2 years as a building contractor."
Yeah. Yeah. A little blue collar humor.
I like that. I absolutely love the one I mentioned earlier. Doctors say he's only got a 50-50 chance of living, though there's only a 10% chance of that.
You know what? There's something important about that joke is that when Ed says there's only a 10% chance of that, this is the only time in the movie that another character recognizing a goofy or silly thing happens. Because Drebin looks over at him from driving the car as if he's just said something odd. All the rest of the odd things or wrong things or stupid things throughout the movie are basically just hand waved like, oh, that's just how it is. That's the only line where Drebin looks over like, wait a second, that math doesn't work.
All right, we've come full circle. On a scale of 5 stars with half-star intervals, Rebecca, what are you giving The Naked Gun from the Files of the Police Squad for your first time to it?
I'm going to give it a 3.5. And it's one that I would definitely have to be in the mood to be able to watch. And I think we've talked about it like when we did Where the Millers, you know, the comedies, like you enjoy them more if you're watching them with other people because you feed off of each other's laughter.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to sit there and watch it by myself, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much.
I think I'm not sure how many comedies are. That's a good question in general. Are there comedies that you would enjoy more on your own than with everybody else. But that's a good point.
That's a survey question. Let us know.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a comedy that's better that way? I can think of tons of dramas that are like that. But Dustin, how about you? This was your dealer's choice. This is one of your babies. What are you going to give this?
Yeah, I did choose it for a shareable reason. This is a 4.5. This is a. It wasn't until watching it for this show that I think I realized how much of that Leslie Nielsen delivery has kind of wrapped into the way that I live my life and the way that I make myself laugh in my head, or interact in a way that is fun for me and fun for the people around me that know and like that aspect about me. And I would not say, if you asked me like who was a favorite comedic actor, Leslie Nielsen stands alone at the thing he does. Whereas I might say like I'm a Jim Carrey fan, right? Or I'm a Seth Rogen fan or something like that. He just does what he does so well. I think the movie's got some problems, but Leslie Nielsen's performance and archetype just propels this incredibly high. 4.5.
I am going to follow you stride for stride. I'm going 4.5. This one makes me so happy. I really love this movie. It brings me joy when I come back to it. I don't come back to it often enough. And the sequels really fade out of my memory because this one stands, front and center for me. The sequels are fine and all, but I just wanted to. This one is one of those. If you have the right sense of humor for this, it's just going to be a total hit for you. And I have met people. My wife's one of these people. Mary does not necessarily love Airplane or this movie. That dry sense of delivery where there's this constant humor going on. And I've certainly, if Lizzie were here, I'm wondering if she would say, this was just so stupid. And I have those moments where I just go down and like, well, I guess I'm stupid, and stupid is as stupid does, because I'm loving this. So, that's it for me here. We got to pick a movie for next time, though. We got to get out of here. Dustin, how about you help me pick a movie for next time?
When you wish upon a star, makes no difference where you are. That's right. Next week, we are coming to you with some Disney animated classics. Option number 1, Russ, from 2003, Finding Nemo. After his son is captured. 2003, Russ?
Yeah, it is.
Gee, Zaloo. Okay.
I feel old.
Whoa. I said animated classics and did not realize that Finding Nemo is 22 years old. Finding Nemo is older than a couple of my employees. Okay. After his son is captured in the Great Barrier Reef and taken to Sydney, a timid clownfish sets out on a journey to bring him home. Option number 2 from 2015, The Good Dinosaur. In a world where dinosaurs and humans live side by side, an Apatosaurus named Arlo makes an unlikely human friend. Or option number 3 from 2002, Lilo and Stitch. A young and parentless girl adopts a dog from the local pound, completely unaware that it's supposedly a dangerous scientific experiment taken refuge on Earth and is now hiding from its creator and those who see it as a menace. What's it going to be?
Rebecca, what should we do?
100% Lilo and Stitch.
All right. We will get ready. Cue up your Elvis music. Get your Hawaiian shirts. We're going to do Lilo and Stitch just in time for the live action remake that is out now. And you can ask yourself, who did it better? So thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on the show. We completely enjoyed you being on here, laughing at our goofy, stupid humor with us.
It's always a blast.
And thank you all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. So subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. And give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @movie_retro. Email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. And producing and providing this podcast is fun, but not free. So we invite you to support our show at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Retro Movie Roundtable. Any contribution is much appreciated and will go towards making the show better for you, the listeners. As always, thank you for listening. Be good to each other and watch more movies. Rebecca?
Don't call me Shirley.